Hi everyone, I hope you can see me. If you can see me and hear me well, please put in the chat box so that I can know. I will wait for approximately a minute until people show up. Since we are starting at 3:30, I will wait for a minute so that those who are joining live are going to show up. So let me know as you're joining in the chat box whether you can hear me and see me well, so that I can know we're all good to go. Because you guys are going to be my eyes and ears. Let me also quickly check online whether I'm being heard well. Right, okay, looks good to go. Okay. So maybe another half a minute and we will be right. All good. So welcome to today's series of COVID economy series. This session is harnessing your digital power in the COVID economy. So let's get into it. I will quickly share my deck with you. Okay, hold on. Yeah, there we go. All right, I'm going to switch the tab. There we go. So harnessing your digital presence in the COVID economy is the topic for today. And as I said, this is part of the COVID economy series brought to you by WHITESPACE. So first of all, a few key points to ponder upon. So COVID and economy, how are these two related? You may or may not have attended one of our previous sessions. So you might have an idea if you did. If not, I will just quickly run through this. So we are going to talk about how is the COVID going to impact on economy and the business in a nutshell, and how this entire thing turned into a global recession, and how we are not going to really get out of this anytime soon as we would want to. So then what's the number one solution for this? You might get an idea just from the topic of the day, but let's go into the details of why I'm telling you that this is the way to go. So a little bit about me. Hi, I'm Indu Nanayakara. So I've been in the industry of social and digital marketing for over 11 years. And out of that, 8 years of agency life. And currently I'm the co-manager of Google Business Group in Colombo for the past 8 years. And also the Women Will country lead, again, a program, Community by Google, for about 3 years now. And right now I am a social media and digital marketing consultant, coach, speaker, and trainer. And with WHITESPACE, I work on digital transformation. So with WHITESPACE, I work in the capacity of digital marketing consultant. And so I'm here today to talk about what is this COVID economy and why are we all bugged about it, right? So if you've been with us, as I said, this is the 5th installment of the COVID Economy Webinar series. And earlier we had Mindu Rajaratna, the lead consultant in strategic management at WHITESPACE. He spoke about risk analysis and adaptability in the COVID economy. And also we had Ms. Riancy Martinez, the leadership, talking about leadership moments in COVID economy. He's a veteran business personality and a marketeer. Most of you may know him. And WHITESPACE is really dedicated to bringing you this entire series on COVID economy for a very, very, very important reason, right? And while we are going to talk about it really quickly, I want to just quickly make a note of this in case you might have to log out later. Watch this entire series if you can, because we can actually repurpose this entire webinar or any of the previous sessions to your specific purpose for your organization, maybe for your higher management or your tactical team. We can repurpose it as a webinar or a presentation or a workshop or something like that. So just keep that in mind, and you will get to know a little bit more about it later on at the end of the session. So we quickly move on to the rest of this show. What's in for you today? One is the COVID economy. It's here to stay. How you can, how can your business survive this economy? How to harness your digital presence and digital transformation? Is it really the survival of the fittest? These are what we are going to discuss today. And first off, how did an entire global health crisis develop into an economic and a social crisis? A little bit about this. All right, so we all know that the COVID, the impact on business, right? How did this entire thing come to be? The whole twin supply demand shock, the reduction in the economic ability to produce the goods and services that people want, and the reduction in the consumer's ability to purchase those goods and services at the given price. This is the entire thing that went into the economic crisis. And if there's any solution to this, like a long-term solution we are talking about, we saw the solution coming. Okay, the solution came in the guise of digital transformation. And if there were any doubts about the necessity of the digital transformation to any business's longevity at this point, the whole COVID-19 situation just silenced all those naysayers, right? Now, I have plenty of examples for you to actually understand this and showcase how, for your business, digital transformation is the way to go. There is no doubt about it. Hear me out when I tell you I can prove this. And not just that, some of you may already know, yeah, Indu, like no brainer, I already know it, but how, right? So we will also get into that. So before we leave this slide, I just want you to keep this in mind. COVID economy is basically the digital economy, because everything had to go digital with this entire situation. So how can your business survive? So one way is on your business model's point of view, right? Any business that had an agile business model, they really, paved their way through this entire situation, right? So combining the agility, so part of this entire agility was to quickly transform into the digital side. So any business that had a non-digital presence until today, or until the COVID entirely hit us, those businesses that were agile enough to adopt to the change of digital transformation immediately harness the benefits and bounce back from most of their issues. So let me give you a couple of examples. So a company called LUG, or LUG, now they were producers of electrical lamps, right? So a company like that, how did they survive? So when their stores had nobody coming in, and people really, I mean, when it came to this economy, people were focusing on the essentials, right? The food you eat, the bare minimum clothes to wear, and they were really, really focusing on the bare minimum. So how would a company like a light bulb or a lamp production survive an economy like this? So what they did was they quickly pivoted. They had some technology that they were like working on, where they were going to bring in a specific technology called UVC to make lamps to combat harmful microorganisms. So this function was quickly noted, and because they had an agile business model, they immediately pivoted. Okay, stop everything else, stop house lamps, stop all the other, like, storefront lamps, everything. Let's focus on this. So what they did was they came up with this unique solution of unique lighting solution that doubled up as a microbial destroyer, or they could like kill off harmful bacteria. So they marketed this to hospitals, even shops, like any place, even the households, pushing the fact that, okay, if you install these lamps, it's going to create a more healthy environment, more sterile environment for you to live in. So what happened there? The business was agile enough to, quickly pivot into a slightly different business model. So this is something really, really important, and this is something that the two gentlemen who spoke before me, Mr. Rienzi, they were talking about this part of the solution and how to train your organization. I mean, how should your organization look into this kind of adopting an agile model to you? But beyond that, so that is something really, really necessary, whether you go digital or not, because in order to go digital, you need that agility within your organization, from the management's point of view to the staff's ability to adapt into the situation. So once you develop that business model in your organization, then the second most important thing is the digital transformation. So yes, they manufactured something completely different, a completely different, release of products, an entire line of products. But how would they market this? This is where the digital transformation comes in. Not only do they need to market these products and services online, because you cannot go and meet people, you cannot go introduce this, you cannot showcase how these solutions work in an organization or in any entity, any environment. You need to have that first few contacts through the digital medium, so that you bring these solutions to their organization. So for those things, you need to have a way for digital marketing. You need to have a digital communication, digital customer care, digital selling, and the online selling, then connecting that to delivery. All of that has to be looked into in the practical side point of view, right? So there was a survey that was done in 2015, where 82% of executives agreed that they needed digital transformation on how they source and manage labor. But only 23% of them admitted to the fact that they had already devised and implemented a strategy to reach these milestones. So what happened? Post-COVID research shows that in a matter of 8 weeks, right, 5 years of entire consumer and business digital adaptation, those things that have been in the pipeline for 5 years were implemented in a matter of 8 weeks. So that shows you how fast this entire digital transformation had been taken by most of the organizations world around. So there needs to be so many different shifts that need to take place. We can talk till the cows come home that, oh yeah, we need digital transformation, we need to do this, we need to do that. But how do you actually implement these things? There need to be structural changes, right? From customer preference into digital. So just because you implement digital marketing or digital solutions doesn't mean that your customer is going to, adapt to those changes. So you need to have a specific drive into making your customers also have a mind shift change to absorb your solution and make that as a part of their lifestyle. So If you take banks, even local banks, if you take an example, so many banks went into digital, mobile banking, the whole works, right? So what happened? Whether or not, when customers had no way of going out and getting their, the money that's stuck in their bank out, they had to adopt to the entire system, right? So this is the time and the place that is ideal for you to change into this entire, all the digital solutions, the formats, the changes that you would have had in the pipeline, or you are thinking of implementing, or you are already in the process of implementing, or you didn't even think that I don't really, my business, it's not going to work this with my business model. If you thought about the whole thing like that, all of, whichever place you are, right now is the best time, because your customer, the most difficult, the most out of control element in this entire equation, is ready to go digital. Because as customers, you and I also know we don't have much of a choice. Whether it's our banking, whether it's getting our food, whether it's buying our clothes, whether it's getting our car repaired, or whatever it is, we have to find a digital solution at some point, at least in order to, let's say, you can't obviously repair a car remotely, but can there be solutions, right? Everything has a solution in digital, almost everything. I would bet 99% of solutions are there with digital. It's just a matter of changing your mindset and coming up with an out of the box, quote unquote, out of the box solution. So with this in mind, so it's actually a survival solution, a survival mechanism. So basically, you and I both know at this point, it's either go digital or go bust, right? Because even if the entire transformation is happening slow right now, if you take the entire customer mindset, and if you are going to change your staff mindset, let's say whether it's working remotely, or your management mindset, where the staff might be ready, the customer might be ready, but your senior management is like, I'm going to trust my staff to work from home. So how to implement those solutions? Sorry. You can try to implement those solutions. Again, you need to have a mindset shift from the senior positions to be able to, for you to take these actions, for them to provide you with the entire go ahead to go into this. So now let's take a look into some of the solutions that have been implemented so far, of how to harness your digital presence and how other organizations have done it. So how you can learn some of these from some of these ideas, at least whichever that is relevant to your organization. All right. So what are some of the solutions that you can implement? There are a host of solutions. I mean, these are just a handful of those ideas, right? Big data, social media marketing, email, chatbot, funnels, SEO, SEM. These are just some of these ideas that I can just throw around as just namesake. These solutions can work for you. But how do you know, out of this entire bunch of solutions, which ones are going to work for your organization, for your industry, for your unique business process, for your unique ideal customer, or whatever it is? Which ones are going to can you implement in this case? So how do you really understand this part of things? So whichever solution that you are going to implement, one thing is for sure, there is a solution, as I said, right? So let's dive into each of these solution ideas, going by, let's say, their industry or solution type. So I actually try to group them in two different ways, so it's easier for you to kind of break it down into different types of solutions. So basically, we are talking about the survival of the fittest. Because let's say if you take your industry, if your competition is going to implement digital solutions and get in the mindset of the customers who are ready to go with them, then the one who's going to lose out will be your business. So if you have taken the first step, I bet my bottom dollar you're going to be the survivor out of this situation. So some of the solutions I want to discuss out of all the host of different solutions, three solutions that have really worked out in terms of businesses survival in the past. We have like lots of examples. Some of them I can give you specific examples, and some of them you may know if I mention. There are so many solutions as examples out there. So first one being e-commerce and mobile commerce. So these two can actually work hand in hand. So undoubtedly we saw like a massive growth in e-commerce, right, in the past few months. So many organizations had to resort to online sales, right? There were sites from like Shopify overseas, and locally there are certain solutions to go digital and have your shop space on our website, or create your own shop. So along with that, mobile commerce, so from banks to supermarkets to so many organizations took the mobile solution to their hands. So one good example would be, you would have seen, so one good example would be in terms of what you call supermarkets, right? So if you take three of the leading supermarkets that we have, right? Some of the supermarkets took it to really, they completely went out of their way to provide a solution to give a very user-friendly mobile interface. So a company might say, okay, I have a mobile app and I'm done, right? But it really has to go beyond, especially if you have competition in the same sphere, right? Your mobile solution for your online shopping and your competitor's mobile solution, what customers are going to do is, okay, downloading is just one click. So one big step is to tell your customer, okay, we have a mobile app. So I noticed that a lot of these organizations, what they did was they sent text messages, they ran online ads, they sent email marketing messages, all of this to tell their customers, what, we have a mobile app, you can download it and you can do your shopping online. But that's not all. You can't wipe your hands off that, right? You need to continue. So when we talk about like app download, for example, app download ads in digital marketing, right? Just because you run an app download ad and you have like thousands of people downloading the app doesn't mean that your job is done. You need to continue to make people use the app, because especially, let's say, if you take the supermarket industry and if you take our local Sri Lankan situation as an example, we have at least three major players, right, in this game. So all three players would have like a mobile app. So when it comes to purchasing, which one are you going to use? Are you going to use the clunky one where you don't, okay, where I want to have like, milk and I type MILK? Or is it like, I scroll and type in and, milk comes in? What's the most user-friendly app, right? That is the one that your customer is going to use. So the first step would be to actually create an interface. You get the right organization to give you that interface solution, the user interface and the user experience, right? Someone who's really good with those two parts, user experience and user interface. Because at the end of the day, the usage of your app will be, based on how easy it is for people to order. You're not just going to talk about people who are in their early 20s and very well exposed to mobile apps. We're talking about 60-year-olds, 70-year-olds, grandmas and grandpas ordering their items online, right? I'm sure Some of you may have parents doing this. Some of you yourself are seniors who are really into this whole thing. So you would know, I would know, that when we go and use the app, we need to really we will be using the one that is most user friendly. So you need to look into that, this entire system of things, starting from the mindset of the top to the, how can our marketing team promote these things, what are the tools that we are going to use this to promote this idea to our customers, to creating a product that is very user friendly to the customer and is really the customer can use over and over and over again until it becomes a practice, right? For example, how far has Uber and Pick Me come in this entire mobile game? Do we even doubt it now? I mean, how many of you all have those two apps on your first page of your phone? I do, right? Because the first thing I do when I want to go somewhere, quickly take my phone, like I check Uber, I check Pick Me, and then whichever comes first, I take it, right? Unless you want to drive there. But such an easy solution. Why do you need to even have a car? You think to yourself, right? I use less and less of the car because it's so much easier. I can just sit in the back and go through my stuff and talk to the people on the phone, WhatsApp my friends. So life is made so easy with this application. So when you're going mobile, when you're going e-commerce and m-commerce, it's really important for you to figure out, how do I make my customers' life so easy that they consider my solution to their go-to solution. So for example, if you take these two transportation apps, for example, for me to think, oh, it's so much of a hassle to take my car out and drive where I want to go, versus, oh, in 5 minutes I'm getting my Uber or Pick Me. That's the kind of solution I'm talking about. So in your industry, you need to have that insight into your customers so deep that you can come up with a solution that's going to be over and over and over used, COVID or no COVID. Because why I'm telling you is, yes, COVID is not here to stay forever and ever in terms of the health crisis. The economic crisis will stay. But the customer mindset shift, that's forever, right? That is forever. There is no going back to the pre-COVID era of customer usage of whatever your product or service. That's gone for good, right? Second solution I'd want to talk about is chatbot and email marketing. They are slightly different, but at the same time quite similar in a way. Here, what I want to talk about is customer engagement and customer service. It's predicted by the year 2020, half of the world population will have an email, right? So whether you're a local business or a global business, you're operating from Sri Lanka, where I'm at, or whether you're operating from a different country, wherever you are at, right? Email marketing is going to be a key marketing drive. It's not dead. Trust me, it's not dead, and it's not going to die anytime soon. Unless there's something to replace email itself in a global scale, it's not going to, it's not going to go away. Otherwise, companies like Google are not going to spend on Gmail and, develop Gmail to a level that, you cannot live without, right? So you can bet, if that's going to shift, you will see that companies like Google is going to shift their focus, right? And it has not. It's still focusing on things like Gmail and Google Drive and all these other Google Suite items. So what can we do with email marketing, right? You might think, oh, it's so like boring and old, but it's not. Okay. Let me actually compare it to social media marketing that I'm going to talk about in a minute. So social media, it's new, it's all of that. I mean, when compared to email marketing, but what we need to understand with social media marketing is it's a rented space. It's either owned by Zuckerberg or Dorsey or someone else, right? It's owned by some other party, and you're never going to, like, one second. sorry, it's owned by a third party. It's like building a house on a leased land. You're never sure of it. Yes, you can do all sorts of wonders, but you need to also make sure that the customers that you acquire through social media marketing, you need to grab them and keep them in your pocket, right? And one of the easiest way to do this is email marketing, because every customer, whichever social network they're going to log in, they have to have an email to log in. This everybody knows. So if they have an email that they are going to log into any of these social networks, then you can have that email, right? And the beauty of it is, if you grab the customer enough for them to give you their email, then what happens is that that customer is placing a little bit more trust in you than just being your social media fan or follower, right? That is step number one. That is the unique understanding behind the customer giving you their email. Through some form of process. There are various processes to acquire emails. So that's another story for another day. But if you do get their email, this is the step number one. That means your customer has a significant interest in you. Then what you do with that email is a completely different ballgame. That's where you're like, okay, he said or she said yes, right? Now you have to impress the person. Now you need to impress her or him to such an extent, the day you say, will you marry me, he or she will say yes with all my heart, yes, right? That's how you're going to look at email marketing, right? Because email marketing is the way to their heart, yes, but you need to win their heart. So you need to have a really solid email marketing solution where you go into your customer's email either every day or every week or every other day or even once a month, whatever the frequency you're going to deal with depending on your business. That is a key solution where you're going to keep that customer for life. So no matter whether they change from Gmail to Outlook to Yahoo to, I don't think anybody's going to go back to Yahoo, but whatever the email service that they change, they are going to come back and give you their email and say, here, please, this is my new email. Can you please email to me? Don't stop your email messages to me. That's the kind of activity that you need to get into with email marketing. And on the flip side, right, chatbots. Now with chatbots, you can do a lot of things, right? You can, incorporate chatbots into your website as a standalone solution. You can incorporate it with a solution like a third-party solution like WhatsApp or, Messenger from Facebook or even Instagram DM. You can connect these chatbots, which are automated solutions. And just like you automate your email marketing, you can automate your chatbot. But so here the difference is you're going to use it in their phone. And statistics show that chatbots or like Messenger, text, or anything like that is going to be in people's inbox. And people love to check their messages far more often than they check email. So the idea is you can actually have both solutions, but you need to have two very unique marketing approaches to those two solutions. So why is this important in the COVID economy again? Right? This is the way you're going to communicate with your customer, because today you can't meet the customer face to face, right? So you can't be out of mind to your customer, because if you go out of sight, you're going to be out of mind. So in order to stay in your customer's head all the time, you're going to use as many digital marketing solutions as you possibly can that is relevant to your industry, that is ideal for your customer, because your customers will have different behaviors when it comes to email or chat. Some prefer more chat to email, some are more email to chat, some are like don't do either of them, they are just fully focused on social. But again, you have inclusions of your chat into social. So all of these things are there. So you need to come up with a solution, a proper customer relationship management using these digital solutions. And these are just two examples. Like there are so many other solutions that will be tailor-made to your industry or organization. And finally, we are going to go into social media marketing, right? One of my favorite topics, right? So what can we do with social media marketing in the whole, COVID economic crisis? And kind of like I mentioned, the communication part. Before the entire communication part, we need to think about the visibility part. Okay, for example, let's say you have a Facebook page and a Instagram page. I'm just giving like a very basic example here, right? Let's say around March, when Sri Lanka closed down for this entire situation, your company stopped updating your Facebook page or your Instagram. By now it's November, and you completely stayed silent until November. What do you think your customers' idea about your business would be? They would think you're dead, right? No Facebook updates, no Instagram updates, or any other social media updates. The business must be dead. That is the obvious conclusion your customer is going to. So for step number one, very most basic step is to keep your social media visibility happening, right? Even as low as 2 posts a week, you need to keep that visibility happening, because otherwise in your customer's mindset, oh, they're dead, right? The first thing is, oh, go to the website, and they say, and website is pretty much static, right? Unless you have a very popular blog going, or a podcast, or a YouTube show or something like that going, then yes, then it's slightly different. But if you have a very basic, even dynamic, but not really updating on a daily, weekly basis website, then the only way the customer can figure out is, yes, they can give you a call, drop you an email, but most customers today, they prefer to check your Facebook page or your Instagram or any other social media they're used to, right? And if you're pretty much dead, your visibility is dead. And when your visibility is dead, what happens? Your credibility is dead. Okay, so step number one is to keep your visibility with social media marketing. That's like a no-brainer. That's an absolute must, right? Whether you like it or not, because of the reasons I just mentioned. And the second is engagement. You can be updating, maybe you've hired an agency, or you hired a freelancer, or you have internal staff to update your social media account on a daily basis even. But when they inbox you, when they put a comment, when they share your stuff, or when they do have any kind of engagement with you, if there's nothing coming back from you, let's say they drop you an inbox and for weeks that question or query is not answered, then what happens? Then the customer thinks, okay, they're posting, but they don't care about me, like, or my question or my issue, right? So that's another surefire way of pushing your customer away, and without thinking twice, they go to your competition, right? That's a no-brainer. Then finally, conversions and leads. This is the most crucial thing, because, well, yes, Indu, all of this communication is wonderful, this visibility is great, but how do I earn the money, right? So that's where this comes in. Yes, there is a portion of that goes into email marketing and mobile and e-commerce as well, but the entire ball game comes down to strategically managing your customer, turning those people who are interested into people who are really going to go into your sales page, click the button, pull out their card, and put in the number down and clicking yes, buy, right? How do we go from this whole visibility situation to that place, right? That's another completely very, very specific funnels, they would say, hourglass, they would say, how do we go about that? So there are some key tactics, whether you call it remarketing or you call it like funneling down people. So there are specific tactics that will work for different industries, for different product types, for different customer segments, where you need to implement these tactics in a uniform manner over and over and over and over, because now that you cannot have those 8 touch points with the customer in a physical sense, when it's online it turns into about 32 different touch points. So you need to have your customer touch points from your e-commerce, your m-commerce, your email marketing, to your bots, to your social media posts, to your social media ads, to your inbox messages, even SMS marketing. All of these combined, you need to have those maximum number of touch points until you make the customer realize, you know what, I absolutely need this, and I trust these guys enough to put my hard earned money that I'm just keeping for my food, right? I'm going to part with that. Oh, I mean, I'm not in that sense, but what I'm saying is, people are not that. Yes, there is a segment of people who are unable to, purchase some types of products. They are really struggling, but there is also a bunch of people, we must not forget, who really earned a lot during this shift in the economy, right? Where some businesses really dried up, other businesses gained. So what happened to all the money that went to the other businesses that gained? It dwindled down to their, staff and their suppliers and their own, supply chain, right? So what happens to that money? So that's where we need to shift our focus. That's the only difference in the COVID economy, where we need to identify the customer properly, because it's not the same market, it's not the same buying habits, right? So that is a separate story. But once you identify that customer, you need to be in their face in such a way that you get to know them, you communicate with them, that entire IDA aspect of it. You need to go all the way into the decision making and make that customer select you as the organization whose product or service solution that they are going to spend their money on. And they need to trust you enough to do that. They just can't, oh, I love this product, but do I trust this company with my money? Will they actually deliver? There's so many amazing stuff on e-commerce. Like if you go to some of these really popular shops, but how many of them will we actually buy? Because we need to be able to trust that companies, because they are now in a faraway place where we don't know, probably in another country, probably in our city, but we can't even step out and go and visit them. So we need to be able to trust them. So that's what you need to build with the digital, this entire digital transformation solution, going from your higher end mind shift to your staff activity to your customer mindset to different solutions to keep your customer glued to you, engaged with you until they part with their card, right? So that's the entire solution. So next up, some of a few examples before I really wrap this up. I think we are on time now. Before we wrap this up, a few players or organizations. So, for example, let me talk about local bakeries. So, a lot of people who have left their jobs, or they have been having a local food related solution, right? They have pivoted to this entire service where, hold on one second. Yeah, right. So a lot of people have gone into this entire bakery situation, or like food production. So I'll give you one example. So Estrada Bakery, that is in the US. So you know that Google is a large company, obviously, right? So this bakery used to provide food items to some of Google cafeteria, and there are lots of people. So they were like really running their entire business with some of the Google officers. But with the COVID, what happened? Google completely implemented the worldwide work from home solution. So what do you think happened to all these suppliers of food and other items that were used within their offices, right? They almost died. So what was the solution that what do you think would be a good solution for a company like that? So this particular company, they quickly pivoted to selling online. So what they did was they reached out to their customers who were working for these Google offices through their online marketing. So luckily for these guys, they had their social media and their email and other marketing going very well before COVID hit them. So what did they do? They immediately connected with these customers from day one. They said, "Hey guys, we're going to deliver from to right to your home." Right. So they immediately changed their business model to from a B to B to B to C. Right. And they survived just because they made this very, very, very important switch in their business model and and switching into an entire digital first solution. And if I take one more example, education, you would have seen how Zoom would have boomed, right? I will just stop at that and you would know what I mean. But online education industry went skyrocketing because of this entire situation. So what if your organization can implement an educational arm into yours, right? Think about that, because that will be one solution that you can really, really implement. If you're actually thinking about it, you should go for it, right? And another example, entertainment. So obviously shows and all these other things just went dead, but online entertainment thrived, right? So if you're in the entertainment business, definitely you should look into this. So those are a few solutions that I would like to share with you if you are in any of these businesses that you can work on. Right. So that brings us to the end of today's session. And I leave you with this idea: digital transformation is the way to go, because either you go digital or go bust, right? So that's the idea I want to leave you with today. And like I said earlier, if you want to, bring this session to your organization, to change it to custom, make it to your industry or to your upper management or your staff, your tactical team, or your client facing or public facing staff, or you want to implement this as a social, something to that you would like to share on your own social networks, we can do any kind of customizations. And here are the contact details that you can connect with us. If you have any questions, you can ask me. I have a few minutes left for you to ask me any questions. Let me know. You can type in the chat in the comments. Let me take a quick look at it. If there are any questions already. So type in your questions if you have any questions. I might not be able to answer everything, but I'll quickly answer about 3 questions. And then any other questions, if you have, you can easily connect with us. The contact details are given. You can drop us an email and ask your questions. Let me immediately. Okay, so Kiyas Sadruddin wants me to take Sri Lankan tour operators take as an example. Okay, so tour operators, by this, are you meaning individuals? Okay, so if you're talking about individuals, money making capability might be a little bit of, there might be a little bit of a question mark. But what you can do online is, if you're an individual tour operator, right? I'm assuming this is an individual tour operator. If you're an individual tour operator, one of the easiest things you can do at this point would be you could build your personal brand online. So it's really easy to start up a Facebook page or any other social media entity. Any other social media entity for you to go with, and start your own brand online. It could be Instagram, which is one of the really easiest platforms to use. If you can build your personal brand, you can talk about all the tours that you take into consideration. It could be certain sightseeing. Maybe you have some nice photos and videos. Those things you can share on these platforms. So what happens is, obviously you can't take people on a tour right now, but the only thing, without worrying about this entire situation and doing nothing, of course, yes, you can pivot your business model into something else. Like, let's say if you have an example, for example, if you had a vehicle, you can try to implement that vehicle into some other types of transportation. There are people who are doing the delivery business is skyrocketing, so you might even want to use that vehicle into the delivery business. Connect with some delivery operators in your area and find out whether you can do bulk delivery, that sort of thing, right? That could be one, that is pivoting your business model into something entirely different. But while you're doing it, when the situation stabilizes and you want to go back into the whole tour operation thing, then what you can do is, while you are earning money from the other side, you build your social media presence about Sri Lanka, about where you can take people, about your previous tours. You can write to your former customers and ask them to send you like a video testimonial, an email testimonial, where you can share all the good memories of your previous tours. So that will keep your name live and fresh online. And when things get better, the moment people search about these things, if your name comes up, if you build your brand to that level and you build a followership, and everybody wants to travel right now, right? I'm dying to like travel, right? But we can't. So what happens is, the moment things clear out a little bit, and when people are ready to travel, the first thing that they're going to look into are the people who they have been communicating throughout the entire lockdown period. So that way, there's a more of a chance that you will get their business than anyone else, your competition. Okay. Thanks, Ivanka. Duleep says, what are the special tips you can, sorry guys, I'm squinting because this text is really tiny and I can't see. What are the special tips that you can give for sale of high-end items where the target market is high-end and above? Kia says, okay, thank you. And Malita says, how about creating a virtual 3D tour online so that the visitors... Exactly. Actually, thanks, Malita, for reminding that. I was actually speaking to a good friend of mine 2 days ago. And I was telling her, like, why don't... So she's involved in... she's a travel agency. She's part of a travel agency. She owns a travel agency. So I was just talking to her, why don't you all do a virtual tour, right? So before people look, so people love to travel, but they can't. So the only other opportunity they can do is a virtual traveling. Either 2D, 3D would be ideal, as Malita says. If you can have the develop the technology, there are many 3D service providers out there. So you can either use in 3D or 2D, that is your own footage or your photos, videos, or you develop a system to have a long-term thing. So that can be your pre-travel kind of introduction. So just like, when you're selling a home in real estate, you bring people to a model home and you show around and then convince people this is amazing, and get their first payment. So just like that, if you can create a virtual tour experience, 2D or 3D or whichever way, if you can create an event for let's say a tour of adventure sports or something like that. If you can do something like that, and you can bring down some early like a advanced payment system into this, right? You can already earn money to be for a tour that you will deliver in the future, right? Something like that. So these are some of these ideas that you can implement. So if you'd like to get more information on how you can, something really, really tailor-made for your industry, your exact business, that you can, kill out your competition, not to kill out, but stay ahead of the competition. I don't want to I don't want to enforce the idea of killing other businesses, but we all should come out of it alive. But if we find our own unique perspective, then we can all manage to a certain level, but you will have an edge out of everyone else if you find out what are the actual tactical and strategic solutions that will work for your ideal organization, and how to actually implement them, not from the marketing point of view alone, because I work from the marketing point of view, but we also have seniors who have been in the industry in the most strategic points of operations, that will be able to who will be able to help you from implementing this from your internal organization strategy point of view, to completely have a 360 digital transformation that is not going to cost you an arm and a leg, and it's going to be so smooth that you will think like, why didn't I think of this before? Right? So that's pretty much what I'd like to tell you. If you have any questions, we'll be really happy to help you. So contact us with using any of these. You can either call us, whichever area we have our headquarters in Canada, in Toronto. You can, if you're in the North American region, you can contact us there. If you're in Sri Lanka, definitely call us on our Sri Lankan hotline. And if you're in any part of South and Southeast Asia, you can contact us through our Singapore hotline, and Europe or Africa, you can definitely reach us at our head office. So thanks again for joining in today. Join us again for another really, really important, interesting webinar on the COVID economy. And I'm signing off. Bye-bye.